My name is Elissa, and I'm a regional program manager here at Junior Achievement of Washington. We are so excited that you could join us this afternoon for our Lunch with Leaders series. I will give you a quick introduction, and then today's leader will share their story for about 15 minutes. Then we will have 10 minutes of Q&A at the end. Please feel free to put your questions to me in the chat box, the host, during the session, and I will share them out with our leader later in the session. Educators and parents, please put a note in the chat box and let me know how many students will be joining with you today so we can accurately track our attendees today. Our session today is generously sponsored by Central Washington University. CWU is a 4-year public university with 135 majors to choose from and home to the Wildcats. At a glance, CWU is a welcoming environment with over 40% student diversity, professors who know your name, and vast opportunities to learn by doing and getting hands-on experience beyond the classroom. Here is Andres Morano-Bettino, who will introduce our leader today.
Good afternoon. As Alicia mentioned, I'm Andres Moreno-Benito, serving as the Associate Director in the Office of Admissions at Central Washington University, located in Ellensburg, Washington. We are really proud to sponsor this exciting series because Central believes that education is transformational and life-changing not only to individuals, but their families. Access to opportunities are also pivotal in your journey through your educational pathway. Therefore, through this collaboration with Junior Achievement, we hope to inspire you to succeed and really pursue your goals beyond high school. With that being said, I encourage you all to take advantage of these series and get to know the leaders that you will be meeting today. And when you're ready to take the next step, just remember your future is central. At this time, I'm pleased to be able to introduce Amber Young. Amber is a corporate sponsorship specialist at Gisa Credit Union, where she is responsible for marketing, advertising, event management, content creation, and business development with large corporate partnerships. Amber regularly volunteers out in the community and currently serves on multiple boards and committees, all while attending Grand Canyon University to obtain her master's in business administration. At this time, I'll hand it off to you to get started, Amber.
Thank you, Andres, and thank you everyone for attending today. Again, my name is Amber Young, and I'm 24 years old. I am a corporate sponsorship specialist at Gisa Credit Union, and I'm actually a Tri-City native. I was born and raised in Richland, Washington. And on a personal note, I will say I love adventuring. My boyfriend and I have a dog together. Her name is Daisy, and she is a golden retriever. So again, I love spending time outside and doing fun activities out in the sun. And like I had said, I work for Gisa Credit Union. And if you don't know much about Gisa, we're actually located throughout the entire state of Washington, and we have what we call 7 regions. Those 7 regions consist of Tri-Cities, Walla Walla, Yakima, Spokane, Moses Lake, Wenatchee, and what we consider the West Side. And now that reaches really from all the way up in Linwood down through Bremerton, and we have 7 branches over on that side of the state. Altogether, we actually have 27 branch locations throughout the state, as well as 12 high school credit unions. And we have 2 home loan and commercial offices that are over in the Spokane region. And again, if you didn't know, credit unions are actually cooperatives. So the difference between a credit union and a bank is that credit unions are actually not for profit. And if you have an account with a credit union, you actually are a member and you own a share of that credit union. Now, how I got kind of involved and into what I do now is when I was in high school, I actually was a part of the Gisa High School Credit Union program. Now, I always knew that I loved business. When I was in middle school, I was actually the ASB president. When I was in high school, I did all sorts of things like Key Club, DECA, and leadership. So again, I always knew I had an interest in business, and it actually wasn't until one of my business teachers in my senior year of high school, they recommended that I apply to the Gisa High School Credit Union program. At that time, I didn't know much about what this program was, but I knew that it would be a really awesome opportunity to expand my business skills. So I decided to apply. Lo and behold, I actually was accepted, and I ended up being the manager of the high school credit union program at Hanford High School where I attended. And what this means is that I essentially led the entire credit union. We were open during lunch, and I got paid. I was an actual employee of Gisa Credit Union my senior year of high school. I got paid to open up the credit union during lunch. And after school, I would actually go to a physical branch location. And at the time, it was our West Richland branch. And I was a teller after school and got paid to do that as well. Now, these high school credit unions are fully functional credit unions. They have a few limitations, though, again, just because they're in high schools, but anyone, so any student or teacher could come during lunchtime and do deposits, withdrawals. They can check their account balances. They can even open accounts and get debit cards as well at these credit unions. So they're really amazing for getting that real work experience. And again, we have them in 12 high schools across the state right now. What that led to was, again, I knew I loved business, and I knew that I loved being a teller and the customer service aspect of that. And it was time for me to start thinking further into what I wanted to do for college. So I knew I wanted to go to college, and I knew I wanted to do something in business, but that's a very broad area. So what did I want to do? What specialized area did I want to go into? I didn't know. And so I decided to reach out to one of the Gisa leaders at the time and ask them if it would be possible to go to headquarters and job shadow a few of the back office departments and see if I could kind of gauge which I liked the best or what I maybe had more of an interest in. And lo and behold, I was able to go ahead and do that. And the first back office department that I went and job shadowed at was marketing. So I went and I talked to all of the people in the marketing department and got a lowdown of what they do. And the funny story is, after that 2 hours of job shadowing in the marketing department, they actually on the spot offered me an internship for that summer prior to going off to college. That was absolutely amazing. And it gave me so much experience and really drove my passion for marketing. And it was awesome because going into college, I knew that I wanted to specialize in marketing and that I already had some experience in that field. So I went to college, and I actually went to George Fox University, and that is in Newberg, Oregon, where I received my bachelor's in marketing and management. Now, the really cool thing about Gisa was that during my 4 years of college, every summer I'd come back home to the Tri-Cities, and Gisa would allow me to come back and intern for them in the marketing department every summer. So I was able to continuously gain more experience in the marketing department and actually apply what I was learning at college to that job. Now, not only did I continue to work for Gisa, but when I was in school, when I was in Oregon, I, needed to pay for school. And I needed to do something in order to do that. So since Gisa is not in Oregon, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And my freshman year of college, I actually worked for George Fox University. I was a phone-a-thon caller, which essentially means I cold called alumni, which of course is everyone's favorite thing to do. And it was such a great experience. However, I learned right off the bat that that was not my calling, and it wasn't something that I loved to do, but that's okay. I was able to check off that box and know, okay, I am not someone who loves to cold call people. So going into my sophomore year of college, I actually started working at Meyer as a cashier. Again, this was amazing because it gave me additional customer service experience and cash handling experience. And even though these aren't the most glamorous jobs, when you're in college, just doing something means a lot and will help you kind of gain further skills that you need for your future career and future employment. Going into my junior and senior year of college, I worked for a small gym where I worked front desk and wrote up contracts. And again, even though these are not glamorous jobs at all, each of those experiences really helped me learn something new about myself, something maybe I didn't like to do, something I loved to do, and maybe things that were good for me and that I was good at. So again, although these weren't, these crazy experiences while I was at school, they really helped me gain a better understanding of myself and what I like to do. And now I'm currently enrolled at Grand Canyon University. So I currently work full-time for Gisa and am also going to full-time school online to receive my MBA. And again, all of these experiences that I've had really catapulted me to this place of wanting to go back and further educate myself. And going into kind of more of what I do now on a daily basis. So after I graduated college and got my bachelor's degree, I actually was accepted to come back to Gisa Credit Union full time. And at the time, I was hired on as an education and outreach specialist. So what that means is that I came full circle and was actually able to manage the daily operations of all those high school credit unions. So now it was awesome for me because I was able to manage the managers of the high school credit unions and really tell them that I was in their shoes and I've done that and I was on that path and here's where I'm at now. And these are the experiences I've had to get me to where I am in my career. And so I did that for about a year and a half. And then Gisa decided to partner with the WIAA, which is the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association. So once we signed that contract with the WIAA, a position came available to manage that partnership. And I ended up being that person to fill the position, which is the position I am in now, which is a corporate sponsorship specialist. So essentially what I do now is my main job is to manage our title sponsorship with the WIAA, which comes with all sorts of championship events, social media, advertising, everything under the sun with marketing. I handle and manage everything with the WIAA, as well as other small partnerships and large partnerships. So right now, if you didn't know, we actually announced a large partnership with WSU and WSU Athletics. So I will be managing all of our game time promotions and anything that falls under the community outreach umbrella for that partnership as well. Now, in my job, there is absolutely no quote unquote normal that exists for me. This is not a normal 9-to-5 job where I know I'm going to be at my desk all day long. That is one of the joys of my job, is that I don't know what every week looks like. I know and have a good understanding of generally what I need to do and what's coming up for the next month. But again, every day is different. And that's something that I really learned that I love. I don't like the mundane of doing the same thing every day. Now that might be great for some other people. And that's why I'm saying those little experiences that I had working those small jobs throughout college really helped aid me to understand what works for me and what I like to do and what I can do for the rest of my life and the rest of my career. Now, on top of working at Gisa and going to school, I do volunteer quite a bit. So I currently am the chairperson for the Richland School District CTE Advisory Committee. I'm also on the board for the Gisa Carousel of Dreams here in Tri-Cities and the Girl Scouts of Eastern Washington and Northern Idaho. Now, all of these experiences also really help me to gain confidence in myself, to understand more about my community and to help my community more. For me, that's something that has always been a passion of mine, is being involved and learning and continuing to push myself and understand what are those needs of others? How can I help in any way possible and in my job? And I think the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone in middle, high school, even in your college career, is to keep learning. Don't ever get to a place where you feel stagnant or like you're not expanding what you know. Try to keep pushing yourself. And maybe you're not involved in a million different boards or going back to school, but try to learn any way you can. Do job shadows. Ask your neighbors what they've done in their careers. Ask your parents. These are all very valuable experiences that you can lean on and help manage your own career and your own expectations for yourself. And again, the biggest thing I can stress is when I'm looking to hire and help hire other people at Gisa, really the biggest thing I look for is passion. We can teach skills, we can teach processes, but I cannot teach passion. So find what you're passionate about, because odds are you're going to succeed exponentially in that career that you have passion for versus a career that you couldn't care less about. And again, really what you guys can do now to start working towards a career like mine would be to get involved. And I really believe that everything that I had done from even middle school up through college, through graduation to now has led to where I'm at. It's led to networking and connections and not being afraid, again, to join clubs, to meet new people and do things outside of your comfort zone. Those things will really help you to launch that process of getting into that career that you want. And I think that is all I have now. So I would love to start taking questions.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Amber. What motivates you as a leader today?
Well, that's a great question. Again, for me, it's really helping the community. And I cannot stress that more. I like to have that fulfillment from my position. And for me, being able to go volunteer at a Second Harvest food sort and know that I'm helping feed people in my community, or whether that be, being able to have the opportunity to donate money from Gisa to awesome organizations. Those are the types of things that fulfill and motivate me to want to do more.
The question that came in is, how do you make room for continuing to learn while leading?
That is a great question. I actually think that there is space for both. For me, I'll just give a current example. So again, I'm in my master's program right now, so it can feel like there's not much time to do anything else. But what I've learned is, even in applying it in my job, when I have my weekly meetings with my team, I can infuse some of those things that I'm learning in my master's program and actually teach my other coworkers how, whether it's quantitative methods or accounting, maybe something that I'm not particularly an expert on, but I'm learning about, and sharing that information. I can be a leader in that way by sharing information and maybe inspiring others to start going back to school or go to school in general. And if school isn't the right path for them, that's awesome and great. But helping kind of lead others to want to, again, learn in whatever that looks like.
Awesome. What kind of social media content do you create that gets the most engagement?
Oh, that's a great question. We actually had to talk about this last week because we're having a dilemma about, new Facebook rules and all of that fun stuff. But I would say for Gisa in particular, the types of posts and content that we get the most engagement with is usually our community outreach posts. So the posts about either donating to organizations or helping to support digital inequities, things like that are more timely and, again, support the community. I think that's what people want and love to see from organizations is, how are we giving back? And again, those are the posts and the social media things that we get the most engagement on. I will say other posts like, rates and things, those are great. And obviously our members want to know and see those. But I also think that that's the great part about being a member of a credit union, is that you know that we're community focused. And so members love to see that from us.
Awesome. Do you have any financial advice for starting a business?
Oh, goodness, that is a great question. I do not have my own business. Obviously, I work for a business, but I would say making sure that you have enough cash in the bank to support yourself if the business fails. You never want to put all of your eggs in one basket. So if you don't feel comfortable with investing your own funds, make sure that you find other venture capitalists who will support you financially. And I would say probably having family invest is not the best option. But if you do, that's great. Again, just make sure that you have enough money on your own to support yourself at the end of the day.
Why is a credit union a good fit for a small business, Amber?
That is a great question. There are many reasons, and by no means are banks not a good option, but credit unions typically have all around better rates and can offer more local advice. And a lot of the times a credit union, you'll get assigned a business representative. So if you were a business owner and you decided to open up a business account at Gisa, for instance, you would be assigned a particular person who would help you with any questions that you may have. They're typically more available than someone who would work at a bank. And again, the big thing about credit unions is we're not necessarily here to nickel and dime you. Obviously, we make money because we have to in order to sustain our business, but we're not out to make more money and to constantly, again, nickel and dime you is kind of the best phrase that I can use for this, but just more that we're community focused and we're homegrown. And again, I think people have more of a passion to help.
Out of all the events you've created or hosted at Gisa, what type have you found had the best attendance from your members or the community?
Oh, that is a great question. So normally Gisa itself, so we don't typically have Gisa started and hosted events. A lot of the times we'll sponsor other large events and we'll be a main sponsor for that event and be there on the day of. So best example for this would be with the WIAA. So for instance, every year there's a million championship tournaments, but just for the sake of an example, we'll look at the state football championship tournament, right? So although Gisa isn't hosting that event, we will be there at that event and have a booth and have giveaways and all sorts of fun things, as well as radio ads, PA announcements, social media around it. Those are kind of what those look like. But the most engagement with events that I would say are kind of those larger scale events. So again, the WIA events, WSU events, a lot of times those have a lot more affinity towards them.
It seems like your role involves a lot of creativity. Mm-hmm. How do you generate good ideas and how do you stay motivated in your creativity?
That's a great question. A lot of it, honestly, is research. I don't know everything, and I would never claim to be an actual expert. I have a lot of knowledge, but I can continuously learn from others. And so I would say the biggest thing is looking at what other people have done and not to necessarily steal their ideas, right? But to look and glean from what worked and what didn't work. And honestly, a lot of it is trial and error. Sometimes I think, wow, this is a great idea, Amber. Yet I go try it at an event and it's really not that great. And that's fine and that's okay. But I learn from those experiences and that helps fuel my creativity to just knowing, again, what might be popular right now versus not, or the demographics that are going to be either at an event or looking at that social media post or listening to that radio announcement. All of those things really help to kind of fuel that creativity. And for me, I think I'm more creative when I have a few parameters. If I don't really know what the goal is, it's harder to be creative for me. But when I know the end goal, I can get creative within those limits.
What skills would a high school student need in order to apply for a credit union job?
That's a great question as well. Really, no experience. And that's where I go back to that passion over everything. So if you are passionate about business, if you're passionate about others, if you are passionate about expanding your own learning capabilities and opportunities, that's what we look for. And being a part of that hiring process, a big part of it too is kind of customer service interface. So being friendly and being able to hold a conversation, that typically is a really good skill to have when it comes to these types of customer service positions.
Amber, who do you look up to for inspiration or mentorship?
Another wonderful question. Honestly, I would say my boss, she has been an amazing resource for me and has really supported me from being in high school up until now. She actually, years ago, she was a single mom and raised, her child and had to work full time and go to school full time, all while being a single mom, which we all know is a huge job, right? A very big task, yet she's come out of it so successful and has honestly the biggest heart. And, I would give the advice to everyone that having these big idols can be awesome, but try to look for someone who's in your community and who you interact with on a daily basis to look up to. And, that way you can truly ask them those questions and ask them for advice. And my boss for me has done that. And I feel comfortable asking her, what will help me in my career? And she knows where I eventually want to be at the end of the day. So, she's going to do everything she can in her power to help me get there.
Awesome. Thinking back 5 years ago, did you envision your career as it is today?
To be honest, no. I think that's so it's such a hard topic when you're in high school because it's easy to think where you want to go. But, I think being open to the process of, again, kind of that elimination process, right? So having those random jobs. And if it's not a job, when you're taking classes, try to note what you do and don't like. Because for me, when I was in middle school, I wanted to be a famous actress and singer. And clearly that is not the case. And I never thought that working for a financial institution was my dream, but it really has become that. And it's because I've learned more about myself and I've learned more about the financial industry space, and I've gained that knowledge.
Fun last question. Amber, what's been your favorite quarantine snack?
Too many of them, too many. Oh gosh, probably, and this has been, I don't know why I've been on this weird kick, but it's been Sour Patch Kids and popcorn. That has been my favorite thing lately.
Well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And thank you, Amber, for your time and expertise. I've put a feedback survey in the chat box. Please take a few minutes to complete the survey to be entered into a drawing to win a Starbucks gift card. Our next Lunch with Leaders series will be April 28th with Benson Porter, the CEO of BECU. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.